So, yun, after bumisita ng papa ko at saka ng ate ko sa kampo, so nagpatuloy ako sa aking pakiging, that time, ano na ako, parang second political instructor na ako that time. So, something is expected of me na rin. So,
pag na-elevate ka sa ganon, na-promote ka sa ganon.
Oo, something expected of me na rin. May time na umalis yung regular TI talaga namin. Ako yung tumayong TI ng political instructor ng platoon. So, siguro, yun, gusto ko, parang ano siya, parang yung self-esteem. Kasi nga, I rose from the ranks na from a supply officer to a political guide to a political instructor. So, pinapakita ko rin na parang gusto kong i-prove din sa mga kasama na parents should be part of our struggle. Parang ganun.
So, dahil dun sa ano mo, na may new module ka.
Oo, parang may bagong tinuturo ko sa mga kasama. Dapat yung mga magulang natin, hindi dapat sagka sa ating paglilingkod sa sambayanan. So, yun yung mga tangan-tangan ko from that day onwards as I continued na mag-serve dun sa CPP-NPA. And then, we had plenty of recruits afterwards. I think isa sa mga talagang hindi ko makakalimutang recruit is nakapag-recruit mo ng grade 5. Pero he was already 18 na grade 5. Hinabol ng mama niya sa loob ng kampo. I was already the political instructor. 2015 or end of 2014. Ang mama niya naman is leader din ng CPP sa community. So, parang masa namin. So, talagang nagmamakaawa yung magulang na convince yung anak nila na kahit makapagtapos lang ng elementary or makapagtapos ng high school. So, grabe yung iyak. Ako yung kaharap ng mama kausap na kasi ako yung PI. Then, kinausap ko yung bata, ano yung decision niya. Pero yung bata, decided siya na mag-NPA talaga. So, at ayaw niya muna kausapin yung mama niya. So, yun yung...
How old?
18. Pero he was grade 5 kasi IT community, so late masyado yung pag-aaral. So, ayaw niya kausapin yung mama niya. So, na-just struggle sa part ko, paano i-explain sa mother na una ayaw siya muna kausapin, pangalawa ayaw sumama ng anak niya sa kanya.
Pero you were reeling from that guilt.
Yun yung isang yun yung parang multo ko.
Multo ka.
Yun yung multo ko. Kasi that agony coming from the mother, parang, hindi naman siya rejection, pero parang yung anak ko nag-turn ng kanyang back sa pamilya niya. And witnessing the pain from the mother, I can remember that time na yung pumasok yung papa ko.
I mean, you could only even imagine nung i-relay ng father mo sa mother mo yung news, di ba?
And bumalik yung guilt sa akin. At that point, bumalik yung guilt. Parang feeling ko, kasalanan ko na posibleng masira yung relasyon nilang mag-ina or masira yung kanilang pamilya or whatever impact, gaya na nangyari sa akin. Yung papa ko nagkasakit. Yung mama ko, parang nagtitiis lang din ng kanyang pain. My siblings, yung dalawang younger siblings ko, maybe hindi pa nila maintindihan. Yung ate ko, ako yung biniblame. So, bumabalik lahat ng mga ganong alaala at saka mga pag-iisip ko at that very moment na I was trying to organize my thoughts how to speak with the mother. Kasi parang feeling ko hindi ko kayang kausapin yung magulang. Kasi alam kong galing ako sa ganyan sitwasyon ayoko rin namang parang ayokong baka mag-breakdown ako or mag-self-blame ako. Baka makapagpakita ako ng weak side ko. So that was kaya I asked my mga kasama ko na political guide din na baka pwedeng sila na lang yung kumausap. So it was a very hindi ko makakalimutang moment na how I became, doon na nagkaroon ng mga gradual doubts sa kilusan. Kasi, taking my experience na at some point, nasira yung relationship ko with my father and with my family and with my siblings. And then witnessing another, almost the same scenario na nasisira
another family drama.
Another family, and the guilty person is me. Kasi I've been to the situation, and then I find happiness na may nare-recruit kami. Kasi syempre lalakas yung NPA. Pero in effect, when as a result, yun, may mga
you're destroying
families. So nagkaroon ako ng doubt na ano ba, how the CPP views destruction of families, or can the CPP help to build relationship ng mga pamilya without compromising the revolutionary cause? So I have that mga nasa isip ko na mga challenging questions na I plan to to lay down sa table pag nagka-meeting. Pero syempre, hindi pa ako ganun kataas yung yung posisyon ko. Hanggang sa yun, we just received, nagpatuloy din naman yung bata sa pagkilos. I was bringing that guilt all throughout. Ayoko din namang pakita ng vulnerable side ko kasi I was expected to show my strength kasi I was already a leader sa loob ng unit. Hanggang I was elevated ulit to become a deputy secretary ng isang guerrilla front, the guerrilla front.
So ano ba yun? Secretary, every guerrilla front has a secretary.
May deputy secretary. So yung pinakamataas yung secretary, then yung parang vice niya is yung deputy. Pag wala yung secretary, yung deputy secretary yung magiging acting secretary. So I was the deputy secretary, I think around year 2015. So doon ako na-train on different leadership positions and mga tasks. Doon na rin ako na-open sa iba't ibang mga internal information and matters na pangloob lang ng mga leaders ng CPP. Kasi part na ako ng front committee as Deputy Secretary ng Front Committee 20. So I had access already to pertinent data regarding the operationalization ng aming unit ng Guerrilla Front 20. Doon ko na-find out na may mga cases of sexual harassment, may mga cases na may nawawalang mga funds or collections, may cases ng attempt ng panggagahasa.
Ganon.
Oo. Na most often than not, ang trend, hindi ko naman nilalahat, pero ang trend usually, pag element or rank and file, may mga actions taken. Pag nasa level ng leadership, madalas compartmentalized. Pag sinabi natin compartmentalized, nakakahon siya, only the people inside that compartment can know what's going on, ano yung decision, ano yung mga disciplinary actions or sanctions if meron man. So, the members will not know what's going to happen. So, doon ako nagkaroon na din ng question on transparency sa loob ng organization, integrity as an NPA, kasi nga, syempre may mga kaso ng assault to women, ng panggagahasa, or ng attempt na rape. May mga cases din ng adultery. May mga couples na may inaano na iba. So it was my pursuit for transparency and integrity. When I was the deputy secretary hanggang naging secretary ako, I wanted to, parang gawing wasto. Kasi that time, tataas yung paniniwala ko, the NPA is the only soldier for the poor, the soldier of the poor, of the farmers. So I have to stand, kailangan kong kailangan kong panindigan na totoo yung sinasabi sa mga dokumento, maging sa ating mga araw-araw na gawain, na ito yung talagang totoong nangyayari sa NPA. Kung meron ng mga imperfections, gaya ng mga ganong kaso, ay nabibigyan natin ng accountability. Walang impunity sa loob ng NPA. But it was a very hard struggle. Kasi hindi lang, despite na ako yung deputy secretary, eventually naging secretary, may mas mataas pa sa akin na pwedeng bigyan ng impunity or immunity. the very least, yung mga nakakasala ng mga nasa leadership positions. So, doon ako nagkaroon ng mga problema. Kasi I wanted to, revitalize or to clean the internal matters. Kasi ang dami nang umuwi mga kasama eh.
You wanted to preserve your romantic ideals of the
kasi
revolution.
I had that expectation. And parang expectation, it did not meet
yung
reality. Siguro nung start, wala akong ganung expectation kasi nga, meron akong ganung expectation. And my reality was kung ano yung nakita ko at na-experience ko. And I was very far from that compartment kung asan, dun lang yung available information. When I was part of the compartment already, of the committee, dun ako na-expose sa iba't ibang mga usapin sa loob ng organization. I wanted to preserve what I was taught of what NTA is. Gusto ko siyang ipaglaban. Gusto kong by the textbook, ganun dapat yung NPA.
Idealism versus reality.
Siguro may
the ideal and the real.
Meron akong tendency minsan na perfection gusto kong ma-achieve. Dapat kung ano yung sinasabi, yun yung ginagawa. Parang ganun ba? So, I fought for that. Pero napaka-hirap kasi ang daming mga struggles sa loob din ng organization. So, may mga time na supposedly I had this expectation na ganito yung sanction pero mas magaan yung punishment na pinibigay. May iba na talaga na I was not even informed na may ganito mga disciplinary actions or punishment.
As deputy?
As secretary already.
As secretary na? So na-overrule ka na?
There were times talagang na-overrule at saka nami-miss ako to be coordinated about or to be even part of that decision-making. So may mga ganong scenario and it made me question that time kung tama ba talaga. Tama naman at first. Ako, I tried to sum up everything. Lahat from 2011 hanggang at that point, that was 2016, before elections. Sinumada ko lahat ng mga experience ko, the positive, the negative, and the could have beens, the what ifs. Para sa akin that time, mas nangibabaw pa rin yung mga positive. Yung mga negative, yung tingin ko, parang gusto ko pa siyang i-fight ba.
Parang nag-denial stage ka.
Parang ganon, nag-denial stage ako na maybe part lang to ng mga dapat at kayang baguhin pa. Na parang ganon siya. So, nag-struggle pa rin ako. Pumasok yung 2016 elections. Nag-transition kami to 2016 elections. And then, nung nanalo si former President Duterte, medyo okay pa yung takbo ng unang mga taon. Ceasefire, so medyo maluwag. Nakakapagpunta kami sa mga areas freely, nang walang threat or risk for military encounters. And then, tumutok yung issue ng mga series of encounters in Makilala. Doon kami nagka-encounter din kami sa Rizal against 25th IB. And then, I think the peak was yung Marawi siege talaga ng 2017 na na-declare yung martial law. Kasi feeling na, una, may takot at negative connotation sa amin yung word na
martial law.
Martial law. So that time, nag-martial law sa Marawi ata o Mindanao? Entire Mindanao. So hindi namin alam what kind of martial law this is. Kasali ba kami sa target ni Digong? Yun yung mga tanong. Anong klaseng martial law to? Katulad ba to na panahon ni Ferdinand Marcos? Na para sa amin, maraming human rights violations, etc. So, what we did was, nag-idle kami. So, we were just observing about 2 to 3 months what this martial law really means. So, sa loob ng 2 hanggang 3 buwan, wala kaming ginagawa. Naka-camp na kami. Ang gawain everyday is labas, kuha ng supply, uwi, tulog, kain, kuha ng supply, uwi. So, it was a routine for 2 to 3 months and it was a very unproductive routine. And during that time, ang daming umuwi ng mga kasama.
Dahil?
Walang ginagawa. Bored sila. Walang gera, walang gawaing masa din. Pangalawa, dahil nga walang ginagawa na panlabas, ang daming doon to umakyat yung mga cases of violations on against women. Kasi nga there's nothing else that they can do. So may mga kaso ng may ginagapang, may mga nangangaliwa, may mga nagkakarelasyon na hindi kasi sa CPP kasi, pag nagkarelasyon ka, bago ka magkarelasyon, kailangan mo magpaalam. Bago ka magpakasal, kailangan mo magpaalam. Bago ka magkaanak, kailangan mo munang ipaalam. Maliban sa ipaalam, kailangan kang payagan. So at that time, ang dami mga cases ng mga violations tungkol dyan. And nakaka-pressure kasi may martial law na. You have 2 platoons of NPA you have to retain. And napakababa ng retention namin that time. Ang daming umuwi mga kasama. Umuwi because hindi na sila, maliban sa mga walang gawain, may mga violations na tingin nila hindi sinasolve.
So unfairness na or injustice.
Or may mga comment na yung iba na porket elemento lang kami yung ang bilis ng punishment or disciplinary action pag elemento. Pag namumuno daw, napakabagal or baka daw walang punishment at all. So may mga doubts na internally sa loob ng organization. Which ako, I tried to fight for it and for what is right and what is on the textbook, what NPA should be. So, yun. May mga kaso na napag-usapan. May iba na immune, na dapat hindi sila immune. May iba na may mga gross violation, may mga heavy na violation, na para sa akin, it could have been death penalty, yung equivalent, pero they were only given with suspension. So tingin ko unfair na yung nangyayari sa loob. I don't know if the party was just trying to preserve its forces, pero the more they hide the violations, the more na umaalis yung mga tao, mga members. So, I don't know how, kasi I was the secretary, may mas taas sa akin. So, I can only do so much. Although, I have the power to make decisions. Pero yun nga, may mga lapses before na hindi ako kino-coordinate, hindi ako kino-consult. At the same time, may mas mataas sa akin na can override my decision.
Ganon.
Kasi nga,
wala bang ano yun? Walang ano yun? Override talaga. Walang ano yun.
May policy sa kasi sa CPP, we have this what we call democratic centralism. And one tenet or one policy or principle of democratic centralism, higher organ, ang lower organ is napapailalim siya sa higher organ.
Parang chain of command lang.
Parang chain of command lang din. So whatever the higher organ says, we follow. So if I say this, my subordinates will follow me. Pero when someone higher than me, ang nagsabi na ganito, I am obligated to comply. So may mga compliances na against my personal principles or maybe my biases
or conscience,
whatever we call it. Reservations. Kasi nga ang daming nangyayari. I'm very on the ground. I'm on the grassroots with the NPA, with my forces. Alam po yung nangyayari sa ground ko. I understand my subordinates, where they are coming from. Especially yung mga umalis. Kasi hindi na wala silang confidence sa leadership.
Which is very painful din sa'yo because...
Painful kasi ako, I was the highest ranking person in the front and I am accountable if mababa yung retention namin. Kasi I have to be able to contain, kailangan ko i-contain yung mga problema ng platoon. Hindi pa kasama dyan yung problema ng mga masa, ha?
Meron din?
Meron din. Kasi may mga masa na takot din sa martial law, may mga masa na may mga feeling nila, sino-surveillance na sila. May mga internal problems din sa mga masa. So, the time I was Secretary of Front 20, I managed how many towns ba? Mga more or less 5 to 6 towns. More than 100 barangays yung minamanage ko. Outside pa din sa pagmamanage ko ng internal sa NPA na mga fighters.
It seems to me kasi parang organization development problem yan. OD.
Exactly. Talagang org dev problems, internal siya sa org, dagdag pa yung problema externally sa mga mass base namin. So internal, ang hirap, wala na akong gaanong support system sa loob, which could have assisted me sa pag-address ng mga external.
And you did not have your family behind you.
I didn't have my family behind me. So talagang exhausting, masyadong draining yung part na yon. And then, dumating sa point na lumalakas ulit yung combat operations ng Philippine Army kasi may mga restructuring, may mga changes of deployment sa area from this unit to a different unit. And lumalakas din kami that time kasi, I mean, in terms of mass base, kasi ang dami, kasi galing ng ceasefire. So, ang dami namin pinuntahan na area. So, ang dami din kailangang linisin ng mga sundalo. I think that time it was post-PDOP, ata, Peace and Development Outreach Program, the Oplan Bayanihan. Oo. So, nagkaroon ng mga combat operations. Yun, nahirapan kami and nagka-encounter talaga. Maliban sa encounter, may ambush din kami ginawa. Ang iba failed ambush.
Kayo ang nang-ambush?
Nang-ambush kami. There was even an attempt namin na atakihin yung isang detachment. We tried. I don't know if you can recall yung inattack yung detachment in Aliwagwag Falls. I think
narinig ko. Actually, kunento ng 67, ba?
67, yes. Aliwagwag Falls, unit namin yun. That was April, kasagsagan ng NDF anniversary ata, campaign. April of 2017. So, pero dahil nga, medyo may mga kasamang low moral na, talagang, it was the attack against the detachments sa Aliwagwag. It went unsuccessful. It was a failed attack. Nakuha kami ng isang baril, We didn't know if may namatay sa sundalo, pero parang dinig namin walang namatay sa sundalo. Namatayan kami ng dalawa. Dalawa. And then, isa napuruhan sa may bandang shoulder na severely wounded, pero nabuhay naman kalaunan. So, the same time, may isang team kami na custodial team na inaresto, inabduct yung isang kapitan sa Trento. So may mga we have campaigns as well para i-maintain yung policy ng NPA, pero internal sa NPA that time, talagang medyo shaky yung organization. At the same time, ako shaky na rin. Kasi, I was having that very high expectation. I was expecting too much from the organization, how it preserved its integrity, transparency, and even accountability. Pero, hindi Siguro I was just expecting too much
hindi naman.
from the organization.
I mean, well,
I have the thoughts. May mga ganung iniisip ako. To the point na, dahil medyo low moral yung mga kasamahan ko, ako na rin yung isa-isang nagkukumusta sa kanila. Parang daily, regular consultation. Parang talk to troops ba? Sa Tundalo ba?
Talk to troops.
Oo. So, kinukumusta ko individually yung mga tropa ko sa NPA. And, kumusta kayo? Kaya pa ba? Masigla pa ba?
Kasi front secretary ka na talaga nun. As in, you are the leader na.
Yeah. So, responsible ako sa pag-maintain ng moral ng mga kasamahan. Especially in the face of martial law, in the face of intensifying combat operations ng Philippine Army. I had to make my troops prepared both physically and mentally. And morally. So
yung morally sa'yo, yung medyo medyo shaky na rin sa'yo.
Ako, personally, shaky ako. Pero, meron kasi, siguro pride ko din, ego ko din, hindi ko pinapakita sa iba na shaky ako. I had to show them this is the strong Che.
Well, it's, kasi leaders have to fake it sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, hindi sometimes, like,
all the time. All the time na sa'yo yun.
Takot yung mga kasama or they are parang unsure lahat what's going to be happening sa martial law. May mga internal problems, may mga failed military action initiated by the NPA. So, ang hirap. So, ako yung nagsalo na lahat ng mga burden na yun. Wala akong support system. So, ako yung nagko-consult sa mga kasama. I had to show them that I am invulnerable. Parang ganun ba? Na parang sa lahat ng mga nangyari, ako pa din yung parang nagpapakita na masigla at saka matatag pa din.
Pero hindi mo pa binabanggit yung problema mo sa masa?
Hindi.
Kasi malaki din ang naging problema nyo na sa masa.
Malaki din yung impact sa masa. So, pero dumating sa point na lumalabas yung pagiging Peteborgis ko
sige. Petty B.
Kasi may mga thoughts ako na ako yung nagko-consult, nangungumusta sa kanila. But I had a very huge question to myself that sino naman yung kukumusta sa akin? Kasi I had no one to lean on that time.
Hindi ka naman na in love.
I don't have a support system. May karelasyon ako.
Sa loob nun.
Oo. Sa kanila ko lang napapakita yung vulnerability ko. Pero hindi kasi siya, hindi siya, kung sa organizational hierarchy, hindi kami
level.
So may mga information na hindi ko maaring i-disclose sa kanya lahat-lahat. Although minsan nag-disclose ako, pero I just choose kung ano yung i-disclose ko. So siguro kung wala yon yung partner ko, I could have left the NPA earlier. So isa din siya sa mga na parang someone to hold on to. Parang ganun. Pero regardless dyan, my partner that time could not relate to what I was going through.
Leaders are lonely people sometimes.
So, I always ask myself na, ako yung namumuso sa kanila sino naman yung pwedeng, kasi ang expectation ko kasi, may ka-level ko ng mga leaders na kasama ko hindi sa front committee kasi I was already part of the sub-regional. Parang provincial level party committee.
Yung sub-regional is...
Sub-regional committee.
Sub-regional na yan.
Oo. Ang next one is regional. So, sa sub-region, ako yung second highest.
Wow, you were really going up the
highest
ladder.
Was Marson or Bosyong. I think he died in an encounter in Trento as well. Pero siya yung highest, siya yung secretary. Ako yung deputy secretary ng isang sub-region at that time. So, may say talaga ako dapat sa organization. Pero yun nga, may mga mas mataas sa akin na pwedeng i-override yung mga decision or mga views ko.
Did that disgust you a bit?
Oo. Pinarangka ko yan. Nag-iyakan, saka nagbagsakan kami ng mesa during the meeting on that specific problem na hindi ako agree talaga. So, but at the end of the day, we were taught in the CPP na whatever is agreed by the majority, whatever is being relayed by the higher organ, we have to comply and we are obliged to follow. So, I can only do so much at that time. And since I am loyal to the NPA and to the CPP,
alam mo, dapat sumulat ka ng leadership book
Loyal ako Nanumpa ako sa CPP na I'll be loyal to the party. So, despite nga yun, may mga problema, I tried to exercise my freedom sa pagpapahayag sa kanila. But at the end of the day, and after every meeting, yun, whatever is decided must be complied, must be followed, must be obeyed, must be respected. Kahit na personally, hindi ako agree. So, but yun, sa panloob ko, may ang laki na ng doubt ko, personally.
This was year
2016 to 2017 na, going 2017. Martial law pa din. That was after our failed attack in Aliwagwag Falls Detachment. Ang laki na ng doubt ko. But again, hindi ko siya pinapakita ayoko din, kung may gustong umuwi, kanila yon. Pag gusto ko din umalis, ayoko din magdamay ba ng pag-influence ng iba. Sa akin na lang din yon. So, hindi ko binahagi kanino man. Sa partner ko lang nakashare ako ng mga disappointment or feeling neglected or pinabayaan ng higher organ, mga ganun ba. I had a very big doubt already. I started to ask if I was still in the correct organization.
Ganun na. Yun na
yung point ko. Ako, sabi ko nga sa sarili ko, I was very sincere joining the NPA. I left everything. I sacrificed everything. Binunok ko yung disappointment ng papa ko when he visited me. Binunok ko yung blame ng ate ko sa akin when she visited me. I exposed being gay. I came from a very patriarchal family, napaka-typical. Hindi naman anti-gay yung papa ko, pero he expected me to be a man, parang ganun. So, I abandoned my education. Diba? I abandoned my young years kasi I started joining the movement at 15.
You did not enjoy teenage life?
I did not. Parang as early as 15, 16, I was already trained to be mature in making decisions. So, doon yung mga tanong ko. Tama pa ba tama naman yung intention ko. Tama din naman yung ginawa ko. Kasi pinaglaban ko naman yung tama at ano yung dapat na nararapat sa org. Nakatulong naman ako sa mga mahihirap at some point. Although may mga guilty part ako, yung mga recruitment sa mga kabataan, aminado naman ako doon. Pero overall, nung kinumpile ko lahat ng experience ko from 2007 hanggang to that time, 2017, more than 10 years, I started to ask myself, tama ba talaga yung organization na to? May pag-asa pa ba siyang magbago? Or may pag-asa bang maipush? O baka mali ako? I don't know. So I also had that question, baka mali ako, baka tama sila. Kung tama sila, ayoko sa ganong idea, baka hindi nga talaga itong tamang grupo na pinasukan ko. So I already had that game plan of moving out. That great escape.
Okay, ito yung next episode.